Hey everybody, doing an upload on the Emerald Tablets tonight. I have done quite a bit of reading on these, read them all actually in the last few days a few times, gone over pretty thoroughly, and some things really struck me, and I'd like to share them with you. First of all, when you read this, if you choose to read it, this is bibliotechopleiades.net, and they have the whole thing on here. And this is just one thing that you should read when you are clear of mind, you don't have anything else going on, when your mind is freed up and you can really absorb what it says. That's what I did, and it really helped. I've read this before, but that was quite a while ago, and I think I read it in pieces, and that was before I ever joined YouTube or anything, and I know so much more now that it was a good time for me to read it, and a few of the things really struck me. And I'm going to do a few uploads, but this tonight is just my first one, and it has to do with the basic foundations of a lot of old religions and spirituality teachings from around the world. Seem to have taken nuggets from the Emerald Tablets, and that's what really jumped out at me. The Hindu, Vedic, Sumerians, Christianity, that was one thing that really jumped out at me. How these teachings basically teach of peace and the light within, and one with the all with the one, as above, so below. They just had a lot of really core fundamental teachings in it, and that really jumped out at me. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to include a few clips from Bill Donahue tonight. What he said it exactly the way I wanted to say it, and in fewer words, so I'm just going to throw in a few clips from him, and especially what about Christianity. And I found this very interesting because this is one of the first things that struck me when I read the Emerald Tablets. And I will leave the link for these videos below, but this is Bill Donahue talking about Egypt and the early Egypt we don't know, and Christianity.
Jeered off, and whoever told me about this never read anything other than some of the other stuff. But this is what I found. Look what he says here. Jirdoff tells us that the earliest indications of the teaching of the four-way lie in prehistoric Egypt, an Egypt that existed before recorded history. And look what he says. It will seem strange to many people, Jirdoff said, when I say that this prehistoric Egypt was Christian many thousands of years before the birth of Christ. Let's go to the next Jirdoff. He said that the principles and ideas constituting true Christianity were known many thousands of years before the birth of Christ. In discovering these, he had the blueprint, so to say, of the original Christianity. And as he said, the Christian church, the Christian form of worship, was not invented by the fathers of the church. Now get this. It was all taken in a ready-made form from Egypt, only not from the Egypt we know, but from the one which we do not know. This Egypt was in the same place as the other, but it existed much earlier. And he's coming out and saying, without mentioning the emerald, that what we call Christianity. Now, and how do you find it? Because if you go to the Emerald Tablet and you talk about Thoth, who was called, you find out that he sat down, he was talking peace. And he scattered out all over the earth to talk people about civilizing and becoming peaceful.
So I really like what Bill had to say there. Just a basic fundamental basis for some religions, including Christianity. And Thoth, or Thoth, however you want to pronounce it, he gives these following directions to spiritual seekers. From the Emerald Tablets, he says this: conquer by silence the bondage of words. Keep ever your eyes on the light. Man has to strive to become the divine sun. Follow this path and you shall be one with the all. Man, know that always beside you walk the messengers of light. Open to all is their pathway, to all who are ready to walk into the light. Suns are they, messengers of light to shine among men. Like man are they, and yet are unlike. It says, light is eternal and darkness is fleeting. Seek ever, O man, for the light. Know ever that as light fills your being, darkness for you shall soon disappear. Keep ever your face to this goal. Open the soul, O man, to the cosmos, and let it flow through you as one with the soul. Listen, O man, to my voice, telling of pathways to light, showing the ways of attainment, how you shall become one with the light. So there's a lot of light talk going on, and a lot of what he says here just seems to strike the core fundamental beliefs of a lot of ancient spirituality teachings. And he also says this, and this is what the last part of my upload is going to be about. He talks about higher meditations. He goes into somewhat of the chakra system and yoga and meditation and how that can help you in your attainment of higher consciousness. But he also explains one of the higher meditations, and that is the temple and its particular variation, the pyramid. And he gives a few quotes, and it says, "Once in a long time forgotten, I, Thoth, opened the doorway, penetrated into other spaces, and learned of the secrets concealed. Often did I journey down the dark pathway unto the space where the light ever glows. Long then dwelt I in the temple of the primordial until at last I was one with the light." And he makes certain references in the Emerald Tablets that can only relate to the Great Pyramid. And I'm going to go over a few of those now, and you'll see what I mean. And he says this about the pyramid in the chapter entitled The Dweller of Uno. It says, "Search and find in the pyramid I built. Each to the other is the keystone, each the gateway that leads into life. Follow the key I leave behind me. Seek, and the doorway to life shall be thine. Seek thou in my pyramid, deep in the passage that ends in a wall. Use thou the key of the seven, and open to thee the pathway will fall. Now unto thee I have given my wisdom, now unto thee I have given my way. Follow the pathway, solve thou my secrets, unto thee I have shown the way." So I find that very interesting because in the pyramid, the Great Pyramid, we have a passage that ends in a wall. And he makes reference to this plain as day. And on this website, I'm jumping around and I'll try to leave all the links below, but it says this about Thoth, or Thoth, and what he writes about the Great Pyramid and the Emerald Tablets. He says, "Raised I high over the entrance a doorway, a gateway leading down to Amente. Few there would be with courage to dare it, few past the portal to dark Amente. Raised over the passage, I, a mighty pyramid, using the power that overcomes earth force. Deep and yet deeper placed I a force house, or chamber. From it carved I a circular passage reaching almost to the great summit. There in the apex I set the crystal, sending the ray into the time-space, drawing the force out of the ether, concentrating upon the gateway to Amente. Other chambers I built and left vacant to all seeming, yet hidden within them are the keys to Amente. He who in courage would dare the dark realms, let him be purified first by long fasting. Lie in the sarcophagus of stone in my chamber." Well, I find that very fascinating. He talks about earth force, which could mean gravity or just the energy coming from the earth. And he talks about the sarcophagus of stone in my chamber. And in the king's chamber, obviously, there is a granite sarcophagus in which no mummy was ever found. So Thoth is pretty much taunting us, telling us he built the Great Pyramid and he put clues to higher knowledge and wisdom and spirituality into the Great Pyramid. This website says this: "The most known line of the tablet is line 2, commonly abbreviated to as above, so below. This reflects the concept of macrocosm and microcosm, the idea that the structure and workings of the universe are mirrored in a variety of smaller systems, including the human form. Understanding of one helps you with the understanding of the other. This principle is particularly important in alchemy. Alchemists were not looking to get rich quick by transmuting lead into gold. They were attempting to find a process that transmuted a crude, common things into a perfect, rare thing. It's a metaphor for elevating the soul, for becoming closer to God. So, with these clues that Thoth is giving us about the Great Pyramid and all these teachings, is there something he put into the Great Pyramid that was a secret teaching or a secret code or symbol or anything like that? Well, let us take a look at something that was discovered in 1940, and I'm going to let Bill Donahue talk about this because you need some visual with this. So here's Bill again.
I'm going to show you a picture looking down from an airplane at the Great Pyramid, Jim. The concave faces of the Great Pyramid, aerial photo by Groves. Groves was a Navy pilot who took this first picture. It was in 1940. Okay? Now let's read together what J.P. Lepre said about the Great Pyramid. One very unusual feature of the Great Pyramid is the concavity of the core that makes the monument an 8-sided figure. That's in his book, The Egyptian Pyramids, a comprehensive illustrated reference. An 8-sided figure rather than 4-sided like every other Egyptian pyramid. That is to say that its 4 sides are hollowed in or indented along with their central lines from base to peak. This concavity divides each of the apparent 4 sides in half, creating a very special and unusual 8-sided pyramid, and it is executed to such an extraordinary degree of precision as to enter the realm of the uncanny. You want to see it? Jump. You see it? See what happens? See the concave here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So I began thinking about the 8-sided pyramid and what that could represent, and the number 8 is significant in a few ways. I believe that is the numerical value of Thoth and Jesus, 888, and also the ancient city of Hermopolis, which is venerated to Thoth, is known as 8-Town. And I came across this symbol, the Octad. It says the Octad keeps recurring in our reality because it is a fundamental archetype on all levels of creation. Physically, psychologically, and spiritually, the number 8 drives a hidden process of transformation. It says the universal laws of transformation always result in a new level of creation that is the 8th. The 8th step is a second beginning, sometimes even a second body, organized on a higher level or octave that represents the fulfillment of what the previous 7 steps have prepared. So, the pyramid, higher consciousness, so far it's making sense. It says the 8-sided octagon signifies harmony and resonance. An awareness of this 8-fold pattern allows consciousness to resonate with its creative source by repeatedly vibrating in sympathy to its frequency. In this fashion, consciousness can find harmony by combining the geometries of all different notes necessary to create the synergies inherent in every orchestration. So, the Octad. Pretty interesting. And on this website I found this ancient symbol of the Octad. And I just happened to be watching the movie Contact the other night, and I always like the part where Jodie Foster has the plans but she can't quite figure them out. And the bald guy in the glasses, I can't remember his name, but he gives her the primer. Says to look at everything in a 3-dimensional form. Well, I looked at this as a 3-dimensional form, and the Octad right in the middle here, if you look at that in a 3-dimensional form, it looks just like the Great Pyramid with the indentations and 8-sided. Do we have a connection here to the secrets that Thoth put in the Great Pyramid? Is this the primer, so to speak? I don't know. I thought this was interesting. It caught my imagination. Hope you thought it was interesting. Have a nice day.